We are moving on to section 5.3 today. We're going to start solving quadratic equations, okay? We've been factoring quadratic equations, now we're going to factor. We've been factoring, now we're going to solve. Factoring is the first step in solving, okay? So we are still doing that process over and over and over again, okay? So making our grid, filling it in, finding my factors, okay? Those are still the steps, my first steps of solving. We said our new seat was over here. Yep. Okay, so let's remember how to do that real quick. This is not on your book. This is just up on the screen, so look up here. Okay, someone has worked out this problem, but they done messed up somewhere. I want you to look at it, maybe talk to your people at your table. What was the mistake that was made possibly? Talk to each other. Talk to each other. Monte, move your book bag, baby. There you go. What's up? No, not right now. All right. DJ or Walter? Do we have an idea? Maybe, no. Okay, they did not do the factors right. What part of it? Okay, so he says the 16 and 5 is wrong, so what should they be? Let's do this. What do they have to multiply to equal?
21.
They have to multiply to give me 80. Is 5 times 16 80? Yes, okay. They're supposed to, go back. They're supposed to add to give me what? What's the number in the middle? Negative 21a. Do 5 and 16 add together to give me negative 21? Oh, they should both be negative. Yes. They should both be negative, because then they can add to give me negative 21. Negative 16 times negative 5 is 80 still. Negative 16 minus 5 gives me negative 21. So, yep, our factors were incorrect, what we put inside. Notice if we're wrong with what we put inside the box, that means the factors that come out are also wrong, because my factors also had the wrong sign in the end. All right, so watch your signs. So we are going to put together two different things we've already done, okay? So we're going to put together factoring with the zero product property. Does that sound familiar? Maybe. You might not know what it is, but it should sound familiar. Once a quadratic equation is factored, please stop talking when I'm talking. No side conversations. Phones are gone. We're not distracted by our wrist. Thank you. Once a quadratic equation is factored, we can use the zero product property to solve the equation. The zero product property states that if the product of two factors is 0, then one or both of those factors must be 0. That's the first thing we're writing down. Mason. So if we have two values, A and B, and they are multiplied to give me 0, that means A has to be equal to 0, B has to be equal to 0, or A and B has to be equal to 0. Okay? We saw this back in chapter 3-ish, chapter 2, chapter 3, where I gave you something that looked, well, you can't see that at all, can you? Let's change that color. I gave you something that looked like this, like x minus 2, x plus 1 equals 0. I told you to solve using the zero product property. So what you did is you took each one of these, you said x minus 2 equals 0 to get x equals positive 2, and then here x plus 1 equals 0 to get x equals negative 1. Okay? That's as much of the zero product property that you've done. Okay? 9:34 this time. You realize you don't have a pencil. Said now it's 9:34, but you realize you don't have a pencil. I'm going to start marking it down. Okay? So we're going to put this together. So when we factor an equation, don't we get two things in parentheses? Yeah. That's what factoring does. We get our answers in parentheses. We're going to take it one step further and taking each of those parentheses equal to 0 and solving. Okay? So our steps. Step 1, make sure the whole thing is also equal to 0. If I give you a quadratic equation, let's say it's 2x squared plus 5x and then equals negative 7. Is that equal to 0? No. So what should you do first? Before anything, you should move that 7 back over by adding it to the other side. Okay? So watch out for that. It's going to happen to you, especially on tomorrow's practice. Okay? Make sure it is equal to 0, because a lot of the times it won't be. So make sure everything is on the same side first. Then we're going to factor it like we did yesterday, or not yesterday, last week with the grid. After we get those factors, whatever they are, you're going to make each one equal to 0 by itself. Oops. Like that. And then you're going to solve. Okay. Oh, someone's important. Okay, so we're doing the exact same thing we did last week, and we're adding just the small step of the zero product property, right? So let's remember how to do this. We have b squared plus 8b plus 15. All right, let's fill in this box for us. What do we know? Where to put? Where? What do I do?
0 goes in the
Okay, so b squared goes there. And then 15 goes in the bottom right. Remember, we're trying to figure out the factors first. So b squared is in my top corner. 15's in our bottom corner. How do we figure out what goes in the other ones? Well, we got rules to follow. Those numbers are going to have to add to give me what?
8.
They're going to have to add to give me 8. They're going to have to multiply to give us what?
15.
To give me 15. So what two numbers can we add together to get 8, but also multiply together to get 15?
3 and 5.
3 and 5, 5 and 3. Yep. All right, not our answer yet. Whoop. What do we have to do now? We got to find our greatest common factor from each row and each column. Okay? Greatest common factor is the biggest thing you can divide out of all the pieces that are there. So what is the largest thing I can divide out of b squared and 3b? Just the b. What's the biggest term I can divide out of 5b and 15? I can divide a 5 out of both of those pieces. So we already know one of my factors is b plus 5. All right, let's look at my columns. What can we divide out of b squared and 5b? Just a b can be divided out, yep. And then how about 3b and 15? 3. Just a 3. So my other factor is b plus 3. All right. The blue right here is just showing expansion. So we did talk about it last week. I know it's not y'all's favorite, but it's still here for you to see it if you want. Either way, we do get the same factors, b plus 5 and b plus 3. Okay? That's factoring. That's what we did Friday. Today, we're adding the next step of doing the zero product property. So I'm going to make each piece equal to 0 by itself. So I'm going to say b plus 5 equals 0 and b plus 3 equals 0. What do I got to do to get this first b by itself? How are we going to move the 5 away? We will subtract it. So we get b is equal to -5. When I have b plus 3 equals 0, how am I going to move the 3 to get move the 3 away from the b? Subtract that one also. So we get b is equal to -3. Okay. Does anyone? Jesus. I think everyone just leaped about 3 feet out of their chairs. Whew. That was an aggressive door open. Okay. Do we remember why we're doing this by any chance? What are the zeros? Shh, back to me. What are the zeros in my quadratic graph? What part of my graph is it? It's the solution. So what part of my graph is the solution? It's just the x-intercept. So this parabola, solving it, stop talking please. Solving this and getting -5 and -3 as solutions means this parabola is crossing my x-axis at -5 and -3. That's what this means. Okay? So you're like, why are we adding another step? That's why, because when we start to graph, this is what we do to find our x-intercepts in our parabola. Okay? So that's going to be the point. We're going to use it later. Questions for me? So the only thing new we're doing is this right here. That's the only new part. No questions? Ready for another one?
Yeah.
Did you say no? Oh, yeah? Okay. Here we go. This one we're solving for f. So we have 10f squared plus 17f plus 3. All right. Go ahead and draw your table. All right, is my equation equal to 0, first of all?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I don't have to move anything. So since it's already equal to 0, my next job now is to find the factors. Okay? What am I going to put into my grid first? 10x squared on the top, and then a 3 in the bottom right. So this gets filled in first. All right? Now we're going to sit and think about the rules it has to have. These have to add to give me what? My two missing numbers have to add to give me 17f, and they also have to multiply to give me 30. Good, because the diagonal. So it's the 10 times 3. That's how you get the multiply part. Okay? So what numbers could we multiply to get 30 but add to get 17? 15 and 2? Y'all agree? Mm-hmm. But 6 and 5 can't give you 17.
No, I
Right.
know, but I'm just saying
That's another factor. Yeah. So if you're going through all the factors of 30, there is 6 and 5, there's 3 and 10, there's 2 and 15, there's 1 and 30, right? Of all those different pairs, 2 and 15 are what's going to give me the numbers that we need in the middle. Okay? Is this my answer? Am I done factoring?
No.
No. All we've done is split up that middle piece. All right. What is the greatest common factor? Meaning the biggest number I can divide out of 10f squared and 15f.
5.
I can divide a 5. I can also divide what variable? The f, because they both have an f. So 5f will come out of each of those. What's the greatest common factor that I can divide out of 2f and 3?
1.
Just a 1. Good. They have nothing in common besides the 1, right? So only a 1 gets to come out. So already I know one of my factors is 5f plus 1. All right, let's do my columns. What can we divide out of 10f squared and 2f? A 2f. Good. What can we divide out of 15f and 3?
3.
We can divide 3. We can't do f because 3 didn't have an f.
Yeah.
So this one is just going to be the number 3. Okay? So my other factor is 2f plus 3. Again, the blue is expansion. That was the other way we had done it, but I'm pretty sure all of us are still doing the table, which is fine. But it's good to still see it every now and then. Okay, that's the old stuff. What's the new part today? What's the zero product property tell me I have to do? What you got, Monte? You have a question? Okay, so if the directions like last week was just factor, if it's just factor, then yes, I have done the factoring. But today it wants me to solve. So we have to factor first, then we have to solve. So how are we going to solve using zero product property? What are we going to do after this?
Add the 0.
We split them up, yep, and we're going to make each piece equal to 0. So we're going to have 5f plus 1 equals 0, and 2f plus 3 equals 0. So this is our new piece. 5f plus 1 equals 0. 2f plus 3 equals 0. This is our new part. This is going to give us my two answers, which is where the parabola is doing what? What do my answers tell us about the parabola? It's telling me where it's crossing on the x-axis. Yep. All right, 5f minus 1, how are we going to get, what are we going to move away first? How are we going to move the 1? Subtract. Good. So it becomes 5f equals negative 1. Then what? Divide by 5. So we have f is equal to negative 1 over 5. Okay. If you want to do a decimal, you do not have to, but it's negative 0.2. If you're using one of my calculators and you did 1 divided by 5, that's what it's going to tell you. The other one, 2f plus 3. What are we going to move away first? My loose number, which is the 3. How are we going to move it? Subtract. So we have 2f equals negative 3. Now we're going to divide by that 2. So we have f equals negative 3 over 2. The decimal for this one would be negative 1.5. Yeah. So those are my two solutions for this one. All right, so the only thing that's new is what's in my cloud up here. Everything else is what we did last week. Factoring is what you've been doing. That's what you did over the weekend on that worksheet. The new piece is making each of those factors equal to 0. Questions for me? No? Okay, I would like for you to try the next one. You can do it by yourself if you want, or you can do it with your table people. Okay? So your next one is 6j squared minus 19j plus 14. So this one's yours. Of our table, the numbers that multiply to give me 84, but can somehow add to give me negative 19, we're going to use the numbers 7 and 12. They both have to be negative. Yes, Courtney, because we have to get negative 19 out of it, right? So inside of our table, we have negative 12 and negative 7. Okay? Looking at the first row. So my 6 and my negative 12. Okay? What is the greatest common factor? So the greatest thing, biggest thing I can divide out of 6j squared and negative 12j.
6j.
6j. What's the biggest thing we can divide out of negative 7j and 14?
Negative 7j.
No.
I mean negative 7.
Just negative 7. Yep.
No j, no j.
Right. Because 14 did.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right. So that gives me one of them. 6j minus 7. All right, my columns. What's the biggest thing I can take out of both 6j squared and negative 7j?
1 j.
Just the j. Yep.
I just put 1j.
That's fine. You can do 1j. What's the greatest common factor of negative 12j and 14?
2.
Negative 2. I know it's negative because of the negative in front of the 12.
I saw that too. I just I wasn't sure.
So our other one is going to be j minus 2. Okay, so now that we have my factors of 6j minus 7, excuse me, and j minus 2, we have factored. We're done factoring. Now it's time to solve. This is the new thing. What do I do to solve after this? Make both of them equal to 0. Yep. So 6j minus 7 equals 0. And j minus 2 equals 0. That's how I got 84. Yeah. I was showing them how I got it. They weren't sure where it came from. All right. 6j minus 7. What are we going to move first? We're going to add that 7 over. So now I have 6j equals positive 7, and then what? Divide by 6. So we have j equals 7 over 6. Our other side, what are we going to do to get j by itself? We're going to add the 2, so we end up with j is equal to 2. Okay. So again, my only new piece is this piece right here, which is our zero product property. That's what we're adding to it to get us to solve. So if I drew a parabola that matches this quadratic function, it's crossing my x-axis at 7 over 6 and positive 2. Did we do okay on that one? All right, beat the test. Beat the test. All right, this beat the test is having us look at expansion. I know we're not working with expansion, but we can still look at it. Shh. This one is already filled out for us, okay? Tyra solved the equation, x squared minus 10x minus 24 equals 0. Okay? Tyra did not solve correctly. Let's figure out what happened. Stop talking, please. From x squared minus 10x minus 24, she split up negative 10x to be negative 4 and negative 6. Okay? Those would be the same two numbers we would use to fill in our box. So they have the same rules. They should add together to give me negative 10. They should also multiply, right, to give me negative 24. So do negative 4 and negative 6 add to give me negative 10?
Yes.
Yes, negative 4 plus negative 6 gives me negative 10. Does negative 4 times negative 6 give me negative 24?
No.
No. So they didn't satisfy what we needed. They were supposed to add to give me negative 10 and multiply to give me negative 24. Negative 4 and negative 6 is not correct. What should she have used instead? So all of this is wrong because she used the wrong numbers right here. 12 and 2 somehow? Do you agree? So what kind of a 12, what kind of a 2? Negative 12 and positive 2. Those are the values she should have used. Okay? So if I were using the box for this equation, my box should have been filled in with negative 12 and 2, not negative 4, negative 6. All right. We're going to do our summary sheet first. Okay? When you get a stamp for your summary sheet, I'll give you your homework sheet. Okay? The homework sheet you're doing now, and you're going to use it to help you tomorrow. So the more you get done on it, obviously, the more it's going to help you with tomorrow's stuff. Our phones are still gone. Still not using those right now. So summary sheets are out. Today we have how do you use factoring to solve a quadratic function. So what did we add today for the solving piece? That's what I'm asking you here. All right. So summary sheet, write the question, get your response, and then when I'm going to circle table to table, I'll stamp you and give you your worksheet.